5. We're going to start in standing today. And then we're going to kind of progressing on from what we did last week, as well as a little bit of a shadow there, as well as you have the option to go back to an easier position as well, as long as there's no pressure on the back. That's the main thing anyway, so it is. So yeah, we'll get you up at the back of the mat, and here's another lady coming in. We'll get you up at the back of the mat. Hi Jackie, how are you?
Hi Laura, how are you?
Good now. So I'll let you just pop your speaker on, or your microphone off. Yeah, that's it, perfect. Yeah, so I was just saying to the rest of them, we're going to start in standing today. So we'll get you up at the back of the mat, so you haven't escaped all those lunges yet, so you haven't. So we'll come to the back of the mat, and what we're going to do is we're going to try to find, sorry, the lighting is a little bit bad for some of you. So we're going to be standing on the back of the mat. So like, if you look at the base of your shoes, your runners, your walking shoes, you might find that they're not wearing the same throughout the whole foot, or even between left and right. So just as we stand here, we want to get equal weight throughout both feet, okay? And you might find even, like, if you're I suppose you have a little bit of dry skin or hard skin on one part of the foot more than the other, it usually indicates you put a bit more weight through that part of the foot. And that is going to mean that you're going to be putting pressure through one part of the foot more, but also it does mean that you're going to be recruiting your muscles a little bit differently than having equal weight throughout the whole foot. So what we'll do is we'll start with feet hip width apart, and we're going to shift the weight right up onto the tippy toes. Okay, so from here I've come up on my tippy toes, I've activated the glutes, and then I'm going to come back towards the heels. So as I come back towards the heels, I am letting the weight lift a little bit off the balls of the feet, but just make sure you don't fold over, okay? So you do want to keep the body upright as much as you can, just getting that little bit of a weight shift back, but as well just being able to actually do that movement in the foot and the ankle. So we'll come all the way back up onto the tippy toes, and then back towards the heels a little bit. Up onto the tippy toes, and back towards the heels. So just let someone else in here. Okay, so yeah, back towards the heels and up onto tippy toes. So just starting in standing today, going to get a little bit of balance work, but first of all we want to find where kind of our center of gravity is, or have equal pressure throughout both feet. So a good way to do that is to transfer the body weight all the way forward onto tippy toes and back towards the heels. And again, I've explained why just in the last minute or two, so if you want to check over this video after, please feel free. So now we're going from one extreme, okay, up into tippy toes, to the other, back onto the heels, and now we want to stop with equal weight throughout both feet. So just try to find that point now between both, okay? Okay, so once we found that, then a little bit of tightening into the tummy, into the bum, and we're just going to stand on one leg. So balance work is very important, okay? So just be aware of how much maybe you're shifting from left to right. Does your hip hike up a good bit, or do you keep them level? Again, just kind of tune into how that feels. Does the weight shift over a good bit when you stand on one leg, or can you keep it fairly the same? And again, just be aware of whether the big toe comes up or whether you keep equal weight throughout that foot as well. So that is going to affect how you recruit the muscles throughout the whole body. So just keep an eye on that. Now you can have the standing knees slightly bent, and you might find that kick in the glutes a little bit more. And again, just be aware of how that standing knee is going as well. Okay, so we lower that foot down. Again, we'll just try to come back to how that felt before, with equal weight through both feet. And now, again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy, into the bum, and I will stand on the other leg. Now when we're here again, you can have the standing knee slightly bent. Now again, just watch that you're not kind of shifted over a huge amount, okay? Again, come back to what feels, or what you can keep as much into the center as you can. Oops. Okay, and again, if you need to pick a point on the ground or ahead of you, then do. We get a lot of balance through our vision. So even if you close your eyes, that's going to challenge your balance an awful lot more. If you're good at this and want to progress on a soft mat or even on a cushion, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. And as we get older, our balance tends to get a little bit worse, so it's always good to practice. Or if we've ever went over on an ankle or knee, twisted those, this would be rehab that we give to people as well. So always good to do a little bit of balance work, okay? And we lower that foot down. So we're going to go into a few lunges, okay? And again, we want to watch our positioning with our lunges. So I'm going to do a straight onto you. So both feet firmly onto the floor. I'm going to take a big step out in front. Okay, and from here now, we imagine our feet are on train tracks, so we want them going straight ahead. So just watch this back foot doesn't turn inwards or doesn't turn outwards, okay? So both feet are forward, front foot firmly onto the floor, and I'm going to focus on dropping the back knee and then coming up nice and tall. So just mind that we're not shifting forward and down. So drop the back knee and then coming up nice and tall. Drop the back knee and come up nice and tall. Now, so if you're lowering down, now you can keep continuing as I talk, but if you're lowering down and you find that there's a point then that you just fold forward, don't go down any further. So only work to that point that you feel you can stay in control and keep that positioning, and then come back up. If you start to fold forward and come out of it, okay, we're just encouraging those tight muscles to just to keep doing what they're doing, whereas we want to actually get a little bit more of a muscle balance. So again, keep the body upright, only go down as much as you feel you can control, and then back up. So let's go for 3 more. Last 2. And last 1. Okay, and push back off the front leg. So we're going to do the exact same on the other side. So again, actually I'll go sideways on this time, so I'm going to do the other foot. So last time I stepped out with my right, now I'm stepping out with my left. And again, I'm up nice and tall, so mind that we don't fall forward or that we don't travel forward when we go down. I want to concentrate on the back knee going down and then back up. So back knee traveling down and then back up. So front foot is firmly onto the floor. The ball of the foot only on the back foot is in contact. And I'm dropping down and back up. Just keep an eye as well on that front knee. Is it falling in? Is it going out? Try keep it going straight ahead over the front foot. And again, it's just trying to get all the muscles working together, getting that muscle balance. That's it. 3 more. And 2. And last 1. Okay, and again, push back off the front leg. Excellent, good. Okay, so just start with a little bit of balance work, a little bit of squats, okay? Try to make it a little bit more functional, and just to kind of give you pointers of what to look out for when you're doing those exercises. And they can be, they're quite functional, and they're really good for getting core and pelvic floor switched on. And studies have proven that they can be very effective for our pelvic floor as well. Okay, so we're going to start down on your back today. Well, after lunges. So we'll come over onto your back. That's it. Feet firmly onto the floor and hips are down. So from here, we're just going to mobilize the spine. So I'm just going to let someone else in there. Okay, so over onto your back. Now, so we're going to mobilize the spine. So keep the hips down, flatten the back into the mat, and arch the back up. Okay, so keeping the hips down, flatten, and arch. And again, remember what we said about the feet. Keep the feet firmly onto the floor. Don't let the weight go to the outside. And just watch the position of the knees or how the knees are moving. Okay, so we don't want them going out or even knocking together. Try to keep them the same. So I'm going to push into the feet now, and I'm going to peel each vertebrae one by one coming up. At the top, literally squeeze the bum cheeks together, and then I'm going to melt right back down. Try to get one vertebrae at a time. Try to flatten that lower back in first before the hips touch, and then when the hips touch, we'll rock forward. And we'll start again. Flatten the back into the mat and peeling up. That's it, and then melting right back down again. Now we can always have the hands up to the ceiling just to get the body working that a little bit more, just so we're not pushing down through the hands. Now, so when we're up here, we're going to find neutral spine. Okay, so find halfway between both of those movements while we keep the hips down. So flatten as much as you can, arch as much as you can, and find halfway between both. So again, the feet closer to the bum is going to be easier, the feet further away is going to be harder. Again, if you need a cushion or a pillow or something light in between the knees, just to help kick in the inner thighs, pelvic floor, deep abdominal muscles, and just to stop the knees from going out. So push through both feet, lift the hips up, squeeze the bum. And again, like we did on the other weeks, you can always have the hands straight up to the ceiling as well. Again, there should be no pressure on the back, okay, with any of these exercises. And we'll go for 5 more. And 4. Squeezing the glutes, that's up nice and tall. If you can go further away with the feet. That's it, last 2. And last 1. Now we're going to hold up here. So again, week 4, so we are progressing it on. So keep it up here. Go into your little heel lifts. Lift the left heel, lower, lift the right heel, lower. And left, lower, and right, lower. Left and right. That's it. 3 more each side. So try to keep the pelvis as still as you can as you lift up. Again, the hands down the floor will be fine. Just make sure that you're not holding on for dear life. That's it. Last one each side. And lower the hips back down. If we need, we give the knees a little hug into the chest. So again, we're progressing on from the last 3 weeks. So we're just going to move a little bit smoother between all the exercises now. Okay, but if you need, you can always go back over the first 3 weeks, which are on our YouTube channel. So back is in neutral, hips are down. Okay, again, a little bit of tightening into the tummy. So I'll go with my left leg. Okay, I'm going to bring it up to tabletop. I want you to imagine there's a beam of light coming from the knee onto the ceiling. And we're going to draw little circles onto the ceiling, but the movement's coming from the hip joint. So focus on everything else then that should not be moving. Okay, as we isolate that hip joint. That's it. So again, make sure the whole body isn't rocking from side to side. 1 more. And then we're going to change direction. So opposite way around. Again, the movement's coming from the hip joint. And again, if you can see me, okay, I'm pointing into my hip. So we get a lot of feedback through our touch, okay, through our hands. So again, pointing into the hip will just send a message to the brain nice and quick. And that's where we want kicking in. Okay, I'm going to lower that foot to the floor, and I'm going to pick the right leg up. Again, don't let the tummy pop or dome. We talked about that in week 1 and 2. Again, a beam of light coming from the knee onto the ceiling, pointing into the hip. That's where I want moving. Okay, where the movement's coming from. So again, isolating that hip joint as I go into my circles. That's it. 2 more this way, and I'm going to change direction. Last one. Now I'm going to change direction opposite way around. 5 and 4. Last 3 and 2. Last 1. Now we're going to keep that leg at tabletop. Don't let the tummy pop or dome. And slowly we're going to take the weight off the left leg. So again, gradually taking the weight off the left. And again, if you find that the tummy's popping or doming when you go to take the second leg up, go back to week 1 or 2, okay, where we just had, say, about 50 or 60% of the weight up. So now into our tabletop exercise. So left foot down, light little tap with the toe to the floor, and then go with the right. That's it. So the lightest little tap down. Again, don't have any banging or pounding with the feet. Try control the movement the whole way down and the whole way back up. Focus on controlling it from the tummy. Don't have the front of the legs do all the work. That's it. Now if this feels okay, like we did last week, introduce our heel taps, which are going to progress it on a lot more. So you should feel the tummy having to work that little bit more. That's it. And we'll go for 4 and 4. Last 3 each side. Okay, 2 more each side. And last 1 each side. Okay, and we'll give the knees a little hug into the chest, a little rock from side to side. So we'll get the feet onto the floor, feet firmly onto the floor, and again, just take a second just to get your neutral spine again. And once we have, we're going to see we're bringing the upper body up. So again, not letting the tummy pop or dome, keeping that tight. So again, you can focus on your breath out. We're into our 100. So breathing out, bring the chin to the chest, shoulders coming up, lengthen those hands down. Again, you shouldn't feel any pressure into the back. Try to keep the tummy flat, don't let it pop up. And again, if you do find you're leading with the neck, just try relax it, or even use one hand to support the head and just really focus on breastbone towards belly button. That's it. Now tongue to the roof of your mouth also will help relax those neck muscles. Really focus on breastbone towards belly button. We're going to hold up here for 5 and 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands down, shoulders down, and head down. Again, you can give the head a little nod from side to side if you find that's catching a little bit, or getting a little bit sore. But we're going to come up again. So again, focus in on the tummy, breathing out, chin to chest, shoulders coming up. That's it, and holding up there. Now we can go into small little beats as well. But if your body is moving up and down with your beats, forget about the beats. So it's more so focusing on the body staying still and isolating the arms rather than having the hands and the whole body going up and down. So we can go into vigorous beats, okay? Only if the rest of the body stays still. That's it, and we go for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hands down, shoulders down, head down. Again, give the head a little nod from side to side. Now we'll give the neck a little bit of a break, but again we're going back into our bridge. Push through both feet, lift the hips straight up, squeezing the glutes, okay, glutes are the muscles in the bum. And we're going to hold up here and go into our little heel lifts. Lift the left heel, lower, lift the right heel and lower. Left, lower, and right, and lower. Now we can make this a little bit harder. Okay, so if you want, you can drop the hips down, you can move the feet a little bit closer to the bum, but if that way felt like it was enough, just keep it that way. Okay, if you want to make it a bit harder, lift the hips up and just see about lifting one leg barely up off the floor, but don't let the hips sit down. Keep both hips up as high as you can. Lift the left and lower, hips up high. Lift the right and lower, hips up high. Lift the left slightly and lower, and lift the right slightly and lower. Hips up nice and high. We got 2 more each side, so lift the left leg only and lower, and lift the right leg only and lower. Hips up nice and high. If you need to drop down in between, please do. Lift the left leg only and lower, and lift the right leg only and lower, and rest the hips right back down again. Okay, we're going to come back up into our tabletop exercise. So again, focusing in on the tummy, tighten the tummy, one leg to tabletop, okay, and slowly bring the second one up to meet it. Again, not letting them pop or dome. So we'll start off just with our little toe taps again, 1 foot down, little tap, and changing sides. That's it, or alternating sides the whole time. Now to make this harder again, we can go with our heel tap. That's it. Okay, now, so last week we added in a little bit of coordination part. So from the knees only, straighten one leg, back down, straighten the other leg, and back down. Straighten one leg, back down, straighten the other leg. Now only straighten it as much as you feel you can without movement coming from the hip. So again, only from the knee joint. Back down and change. Now we can combine the two of them together. So 1 foot down, light little tap with the toe to the floor as the other leg goes up, meet in the middle and change. Now again, this can be quite progressive for beginners. Okay, we are in week 4. So if you have been following us from week 1, hopefully find that this is okay. Okay, but you always know what to go back to as well. If you do find that this is a bit much, just go back to what we did earlier in the class. Okay. 2 more each side. Last one each side. And give the knees a little hug into the chest. Now, so the last one we're going to do in this position, okay? And just move up a little bit to make sure everyone can see me now, because we're going to be using the upper body. Okay, so again, I had my legs towards you last time, just so you could see what the legs were doing. Okay, but now it's going to be the upper body a little bit more. Now, so hands are down by the side. So like our 100 where we lifted the upper body up, we're going to stay up there, but we're still going to be isolating the arms. Now, so my back is in neutral, breathing out as I come up at the upper body. Again, not letting the tummy pop or dome. Okay, and what I'm going to do is get my palms facing up at knee height. Now, isolate the hands up to around ear height, or until I feel like maybe I'm going to lower my upper body, because we don't want that to happen. Okay, so isolate the hands up to around ear height and back down. Up to ear height and back down. That's it for 3. Now again, if you need, use one hand to support the head. That's it. Last one. And we're going to interlock the hands down and support the head. So rotate to the left, back to the center, rotate to the right, back to the center, and left, center, right, and center, and left, center, and right. That's it. 2 more each way, left and right. Now make sure the upper body has to lower down, you're not just doing it with your neck. So again, breastbone towards belly button still, and rotate to the left, back to the center and right, back to the center, and rest the upper body back down. Again, give the head a little nod from side to side. Okay, so we're going to come up into a seated position. So again, you can interlock the hands around one knee, give it in or give it a pull into the chest, and we'll come into a little rock up. So we're going to go into our rolling like a ball now. Just fix the hair. So with that, you can get a pillow or a cushion or something light in between the thighs again, because if you feel the front of the leg kicking in, we don't want that. So you might have to hold something in between the thighs just to help kind of fire up the inner thighs, pelvic floor, deeper abdominal muscles a little bit more. And it'll just stop the front of the legs doing as much. So we're up nice and tall, over everyone can see the setup. And I'm going to focus again on breastbone towards the belly button, or even the belly button towards the pubic bone. So that means I'm going to roll back on the seat bone, okay? So I'm going to tighten the tummy consciously as I roll back on the seat bone, bringing the breastbone towards the belly button. My hands are back hip width apart. Now, my fingertips are in contact, my hand hasn't flattened down. Bring the feet in towards the bum and have the feet and knees glued together, or your cushion or something in between the thighs. So in one movement, I'm going to bring the weight back onto my hands, onto my palms as I lift the feet up. Now, if you need to focus on the breath out and do so, perfect, okay? If you can do the two of them at the same time, then do. So breathing out, lift the feet as the weight goes back into the hands. Now make sure it wasn't two movements. We don't want any movement from the hips like I'm doing now. Okay, so we have that tightening into the tummy. We're going to bend the elbows, roll back, and straighten the elbows, roll forward. You should feel the tummy kicking in, okay? So the front of the legs should not be doing the work. If they're kicking in, just drop down and reset, okay? So again, these beginner classes are exactly for moves like this. If you don't feel it in the right position, drop and reset, get it right. That's it. So we'll go for 5 and 4, last 3, last 2, and rest back down. So we're going to come into a little twist. So again, you can keep that thing in between the thighs if you do have something there, and knees bent. Now, if you have the flexibility, you can go straight with the legs. But if you straighten the legs and come into a slump position when you do so, keep the knees bent. So for the case of this, or for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep the knees bent and I'm staying up as tall as I can on the seat bone, hands across the chest. So I'm going to look over my left shoulder and I'm going to follow with the body, or follow with the shoulder. Watch that the knees and the hips and feet and all that don't come with you like what I'm doing now. So keep them there and move from the waist up. Back to the center again, come up tall, get the shoulders down again, look over my right shoulder and follow with the body, or with the shoulders, and back to the center, up tall, shoulders down, away from those ears, look over the left and follow with the body, and back to the center, up tall, shoulders down, look over your right and follow with the body, back to the center and look over and follow, and back to the center and look over and follow, back to the center, one more each way, and back to the center. Now we're going to come into a little stretch then. So this time feet going to be hip width apart. You can keep the knees bent still, or if you have the flexibility you can go straight with the legs. Hands are out at shoulder height. Now the same idea, so we're going to consciously tighten the tummy as I roll back on the seat bone, but at the same time I'm going to reach forward. So you can even imagine someone's holding you around the waist from behind, and we're going to reach out to grab something out in front. So chin to chest, stretch the hands out in front as I roll back on the seat bone. So coming into a C curve, and then I'm coming up nice and tall as I roll forward on the seat bone, and shoulders kind of retracted back. And again, chin to chest, stretch the hands out as I roll back on the seat bone. And then up nice and tall, one more, and chin to chest, stretch the hands out in front, roll back on the seat bone, and then coming up nice and tall. So we're going to come back onto the elbow. So last one in this position. So we're going to come back onto the elbow. So elbows are underneath the shoulders. You can use the hands to support the back, or else you can just stay off to one side. Back is tummy staying tight, and one leg the tabletop, and bring the other one up to meet it. So again, you can have the hands down by the sides or on the back. as long as you feel the tummy kicking in and not holding on with the hands. So I'm going to let the body rotate, or let my legs rotate to one side, and then I'm going to pull them back and go to the other side. Now focus on the abdominals as you do so, and again try not to kind of slump down into it. That's it, keeping the shoulders back and chest out. That's it. Now we can make this a little bit harder as well. So when I rotate to my right, I'm going to see if I straighten out my right leg. I'm going to pull it back in. I'm going to focus on the tummy as I rotate over to my left hand side. Straighten out the left leg, pull it back in, and the same then to the other side. Sorry now, I know my feet are towards the camera, but you can see me clear when I do it this way. Okay, and rotate back and change. That's it. Now you can make it harder and go with both legs, but for beginners, one leg is plenty. Now if you find it too much rotating or you're starting to fatigue, you can always just stick back to the center and just straighten one leg at a time. Okay, so we're nearly there now. We got one more each side. And last time to the right. Okay, and then back to the center and rest one foot down at a time. Okay, so we're going to come over onto your side. We're gonna stay up onto the elbow, so we are. So we're gonna go into our little kind of side plank with rotation. Okay, so I'm on my right side, my right elbow is directly underneath my shoulder, my feet are in line with the bum, and my knees are bent. So lift the ribs, lift the waist, hips are coming up, and I'm gonna push the hips forward. Okay, so just mind that the hips aren't sitting back. So push them forward, getting the glutes fired up. Top hand to the ceiling. So again, we've done these the last few weeks. If you don't feel up to it, don't worry about the rotation. Otherwise, we can go into rotation. Rotate around, look back behind, and then coming forward. Okay, and we'll go again. That's it. Rotate back behind. Okay, and then coming forward. Last one. Top hand in underneath. Rotate behind. Reach back behind, and then coming up nice and tall. Now, so we're going to come down onto an outstretched hand now. So now we're going into our hip work. Okay, so we're coming down onto our outstretched arm. Okay, and we're going to start with both knees and feet out in front. So we're at the front of the mat. I have 90 degrees nearly at my, or thereabouts, at my hips on my knees, and my head is rested. Top knee is hanging out over the bottom a little bit. Okay, and again, that's just because I want to focus in on the bum. Okay, so I definitely do not want the top hip back. Now focusing on the bum, lift the top knee and the foot, really focus on the glute firing up, and then lower down. Lift the top knee and the foot, and then lower back down. That's it. So make sure that we're not leading with the knee, okay? Try to get the foot and the knee lifting at the same time if you can, and then lower and back down. We go for 5 more. And 4. Last 3 and 2, last 1, and rest back down. Now you might feel a little bit going on here at the waist or tummy. We're going to lift both feet up. So lift both feet up, feet glued together, separate the top knee, squeeze the bum, and lower down. Separate the top knee, squeeze the bum, and lower down. That's it. Again, hopefully not feeling the front of the leg kicking in. If you do feel a lot that's happening there, just drop down, reset, or even try to get the feet up a little bit higher, or roll forward, kind of as if you're facing the mat a little bit more. Again, it is a bit exaggerated, but again, as long as we can get the right muscles kicking in at the start, and then we can kind of step it back into better position, and then after that, that's it. 2 more. And last 1, and rest back down. So we're going to see about getting the inner thigh of the bottom leg. So keep this top knee and foot out in front, and straighten the bottom leg down the end of the mat. Okay, so hopefully everyone can see that down there. Now make sure the front leg, or the bottom leg, doesn't glide forward. Okay, so keep it back. Lift and lower. Bottom leg lift and lower, and lift and lower. 5 and 4, 3 and 2, last 1. Okay, take a second. Okay, we're going to go again. Okay, so 5 and 4, 3, that's it. Make sure it's the inner thigh kicking in. So again, so often the front of the leg can compensate for here. So just take your time, get the right muscles kicking in. We're going to do one more for good luck. Okay, and rest back down. Okay, so from here now we're going to swing around and do the other side. So both knees and feet are at the front of the mat. We're going to come down onto an out. Oh wait, sorry, we'll stay up onto the elbow. Actually, we'll do our little planks first, sorry. Okay, so I'm up onto the left side now. Okay, I did the right the last time. And I'm going to lift the ribs, lift the waist, hips coming up, push the hips forward. So again, we'll go with the top hand to the ceiling. You can just hold, or else we're going to go into our little rotations or twists. Top hand coming in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming forward, push the hips forward, and we go again. Top hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then coming forward. One more. Top hand in underneath, reach and look back behind, and then come forward. Now, so we let the hips go with those. Okay, you can do another option where you keep the hips still, but just for the sake of getting everything kicking in and just being aware of getting the glutes kicking in to push the hips back forward, we just let the hips kind of fold a little bit. So now we're coming down onto an outstretched hand. So both knees and feet at the front of the mat and down onto an outstretched arm. So again, top knee, let it hang out over the bottom. That's it, glutes are firing up. Lift the knee and the foot and lower. Lift the knee and the foot and lower. Okay, 5 and 4, 3, last 2, last 1, and rest back down. So again, you might feel a little bit around the waist now next time. So both feet lift up and keep them up as high as you can. Okay, keep the feet together. Remember we talked about not just having the toes together, keep the whole foot together. Focusing on the bum, separate the top knee, and then lower them back down. Keep the feet up as high as you can, or even tilt it forward a little bit, just to make sure you're getting the glutes fired up. Okay, 6 and 5, 4, last 3, 2, last 1, and rest back down. Now, so like we did in the other side, keep the top knee and the foot out in front and straighten out the bottom leg. So bottom leg is nice and straight, don't let it glide forward. Keep it back in line with the back of the mat and the body. And we're going to lift and lower. Again, you can focus in on the breath out and then lift, just to make sure the inner thigh is kicking in. And again, mind it doesn't start traveling forward. Now, if you do find that your foot is quite tense like I'm doing now, focus on the knee lifting rather than leading with the foot. Okay, so getting the knee lift and lower. The knee lift and lower. That's it, knee lift and lower. Okay, we'll do 3 more and then just take a little break. And last 1, and then rest back down. That's it. So these muscles tend to fatigue quite easily, or we end up just kind of losing concentration on them. So it's just good just to stop or just to refocus in on them. Okay, 4 more. And 3. Last 2, that's it, inner thigh, kick it in. Last 1, and rest back down. Okay, so we're going to come back up. Okay, we're going to come into our cross leg position for our side stretch. So if you find that this is too much, you can go back to just this one here, or as we said like the last few weeks, sitting up onto a thick book. Okay, so cross leg position. Okay, up as tall as we can. I'm going to have my right hand on the floor, my left hand is high up to the ceiling. And again, imagine someone is standing over me, pulling the hand up as high as you can. So it's not just going to be a limp arm, okay? So stretch up, get the good stretch right down from the arm down to the ribs, or from the ribs down to the waist. It depends on where it's tight for you. And I'm going to side bend over to my right. Now as I do, I'm bending my right elbow. It's allowing me to get that side bend in the spine. And I'm going to slightly fall forward from the hip. Now my hand hasn't fallen forward. My hand is still beside the ear, but I'm going to travel forward as I come around out of it. My left hand is on the floor now, and now I'm going to take the right hand up. Okay, so again, side bend over, stretch the right hand high up. And again, as I side bend to my left, I'm pushing my right hip back down into the mat, so don't let it lift. You'll get more of a stretch that way. And again, like we did on the other side, small lean forward at the hip and reach forward and circle around out of it. We'll do one more each way. Right hand down, left hand up, side bend over. Okay, lean forward at the hip and roll out of it. And last time, left hand down, right hand up, side bend over. That's it, really stretch and reach through those fingertips. Small lean forward at the hip and reach forward and circle around out of it. Okay, so we're going to come up onto hands and knees. Okay, so we're going to go into our Superman, and then we're going to be finishing then with our back work, okay? So we're going to stay up on hands and knees. Hands are on the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips. Now again, if you need, just dipping down, arching and flatten, just to find where feels good for you for your back, and again getting a little bit of tightening into the tummy. So we've done this exercise the last 3 weeks, okay, so we should be familiar with it. And we're going to go back with the left leg. Now when we go back with the leg, mind there's not a big shift from side to side. That's it, left leg back, slowly coming back to the floor. And I'll go with the right. Again, I'm leading back with the heel. And slowly back, left leg, right hand, stretch out in both directions. And slowly back, right leg, then left hand. Now I always tend to tell people to go with the leg first, then the hand. Sometimes if they go with both at the same time, just the back completely comes out of position and they forget or kind of lose concentration of what we're actually trying to do. So again, back is staying still, tummy tight, getting the glute fired up as we send the leg back, getting length on the back of the leg. Okay, and then when the hand goes out overhead, it's staying close to the head without the back coming out of position. That's it, so alternating sides. So leg back, then hand. Okay, but everything could come back at the same time. Now I'm going with my left leg, right hand. That's it, and now we have one more each side. So right leg, left hand. And slowly back, shoulders drawn down the back, tummy tight. Left leg and right hand. And then slowly back. Good. So again, just give the wrist a little bit of a twirl around. So we're going to come down onto the tummy. Okay, we're going to start with the elbows bent and in by our sides. So with this one again, we're not pushing through the hands. Okay, we're focusing on the lower back, either side of the spine. Okay, we're keeping the tummy tight and a little bit tightening into the bum. Now the feet, if you can, keep them kind of close together, just kind of hip width apart, not glued together, that's where they fall, and elbows in by the sides. So tummy staying tight. I'm going to breathe out, and during that breath out, I'm going to lift the chest and shoulders and lower back down. So I want you to focus on the chest and the shoulders lifting. Sometimes when I say just to lift and lower, people's head will be looking up to the wall out in front and back down, okay? So you want to pick a point on your mat, stay focused on that as we lift the chest and the shoulders up off the floor and then lower back down. And again, do you feel it equally on left and right, or you just feel your left or right side kicking in? If you feel it on one side more than the other, just see about moving the legs slightly maybe to one side. That's it. A good thing to do is just to check where the edge of the mat is and then find halfway. That's it, so not pushing through the hands, focus on that lower back and lower back down. So we do one more. Now you can continue it that way, or something just to help kick in the shoulders a little bit more, get a bit more awareness, is to let the arms go straight and down by your sides. Let the shoulders flop forward. So do learn to relax them as well. So lower back kicks in to lift the chest. I'm going to hold it here. I'm going to squeeze the shoulder blades back. And now I need to reach my fingers down towards the end of the mat. And then I'm going to rest all the way back down. Lower back kicks in to lift the chest. Squeeze the shoulders back. Stretch the hands towards the end of the mat. And rest back down. Now make sure the hands aren't lifting up too high. Okay, you're more so just having the arms up and not the hands. And rest all the way back down. 2 more. Lower back kicks in, squeeze the shoulders back, stretch the hands to the end of the mat, and rest back down. Now we'll turn the palms down. Now it might feel a little bit awkward. If you need to get the hands out wider, then do. And the same as before, let the shoulders flop forward. Lower back kicks in to lift the chest, squeeze the shoulders back, let the hands slightly lift as you reach towards the end of the mat, and rest back down. Just gives you a little bit more awareness to those muscles around the shoulders. Just helps you with your posture a little bit. And rest down. 3 more. Lower back kicks in, lifts the chest, squeeze the shoulders back, lift the hands slightly as you stretch towards the end of the mat, and rest down. Last 2. And rest down. And last 1. And rest back down. Now, so we're going to come into our swimming exercise. So elbows out wide, head rested on the hands, and we're going to have the feet hip width apart. So mind that they're not too wide. Okay, so just hip width apart. So with this again, we want to focus in on the bum, just make sure everyone can see me. Okay, keeping up above. Okay, so we're going to focus in on the glute. Okay, the muscles in the bum, upper body's rested. I have my head lifted to top, and shoulders are drawn down the back. So I'm going to focus in on the glute. I'm going to lift one leg, lower, and then lift the other leg. So try lift from the hip. Okay, feel the bum kicking in, and then when you lower it, just let it go. Glute kicks in as we lift, and then lower, and then let it go. Glute tightens, the muscle in the bum tightens and lifts the leg, and then when it lowers to the floor, let it go. So make sure there's no bend on the knee. That's it, lifting from the hip. And try not to let the body rock from side to side. When you lift the leg, don't let it kick off to the side. So again, make sure it's lifting straight up. If you feel it's about to pull off to one side, maybe just don't go any higher, or just try to kind of counter-react that. If you feel you can make this a little bit harder, or you can push on a little bit more, hands stretched out overhead. Keep the head rested, but go with just the legs. And now you don't have that wide base of support anymore, so you might find it a little bit more challenging. That's it again, you're just lifting one leg, lower, and lift the other leg, and lower. We're going to go for 3 more each side. That's it, mind that the knees not bending. Last 2 each side. If you want to introduce opposite hands, that's fine. And now last 1 each side. And rest back down. Okay, so we're going to bring the hands back in underneath the hips. Toes are tucked in underneath, and as I lift my body up, I'm leaning back with the bum. So push the hips back towards the heels and sit the bum back to the heels. Hands are stretched right out in front. Okay, and now we're going to see about targeting one side over the other. So both hands over to your right hand side. So right hand to the right side, left hand on top. Okay, left hand to the left side and right hand on top. Okay, and we'll come up. So we'll just give the shoulders a little roll up, back and down. That's it. And again, anytime throughout the day, if you kind of don't know if your shoulders are relaxed, you're not too sure how to do that. If the shoulders are up to the ears as high as you can, then you know the furthest point is away, okay? It's down as low as you can. So there's no harm kind of bringing the shoulders up to the ears and then just let them go. If you do find out maybe you're getting a bit tense or stressed, or you're not too sure if they're relaxed or not. So up to the ears as much as you can, and then just let them go. So just to finish up it, we're going to stretch out the front of the leg, and we're going to do that in a kneeling position as we are now. So again, the class will be put up on YouTube whenever it gets uploaded on that, and it'll also be on social media as well. And again, if you liked it, make sure to drop us a like or a comment as well. So with this stretch, we want to feel a stretch in the front of the thigh. Now when we grab hold of the leg, whoops, mind that we don't arch the back, or if you do when you grab hold of it, just make sure you correct it then. Okay, you should feel a stretch in the front of that leg. Okay, we'll let the leg go. Okay, and again we'll give the top foot a little pull to the bum again, and again try not to let the back arch, keep the tummy and bum tight. Okay, and let that go. So we're going to do the same on the other side. So give the right foot a little pull to the bum, or just as long as this is the other one, and take a little stretch here. And then rest down, and one more time. Give that foot a little pull to the bum. Now if you do tend to do maybe a lot of sitting during the day, you can do the same stretch only with one foot out in a lunge position. Okay, and that will definitely get a bit more of a stretch on it. If you do find there's any discomfort on the back, maybe just don't just build up to this position, and you can work with the other one. So basically I'll do it on the other way around. So I have my right foot out in front, my left knee is down. Hopefully I won't fall over now when I'm doing this, but we give the foot a little pull to the bum. So you might actually just need to hold on when you're doing this. It is a stronger stretch, but if you do a lot of sitting during the day, it's a good one to build up to and to get that done. Okay, and then we can change sides then as well. Okay, so give the foot a little pull to the bum. That's it. And again, if you need, just holding on to something. Whoops. Okay, and rest back down. Excellent. So thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So next week is our last planned week, but I'm sure God knows what we'll be up to next week, or the week after that. But thanks a million for joining us. And again, yeah, if you're on social media, just make sure to drop us a like or a comment or something like that.